Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me at benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcast because People of Distinction is a nationally and internationally syndicated show because of listeners like you. Our shows are available across all major podcast distributors as well as YouTube. And if you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. We appreciate the support. Continue to like and follow and sit back and strap in because on the line with us today, we have Michael J. Ulrich. We're going to be discussing his amazing book on becoming an effing man. That's available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. But if you want to gather everything that Michael has in store, people, look no further than his personal site. There, you're going to find more information on Mike himself, more information on this fantastic book, as well as find the hyperlinks set up to take you back to those purchasing pages. And that's on becomingafuckingman.com. Once again, that's on becomingafuckingman.com. Head on over there today, pick up copies of this magnificent book, and get lost in everything it has to offer. And before we go any further, I want to take this opportunity and point out that Michael was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by one of the best advertising firms in the business. And people, if you follow us, you already know I'm talking about CITI of Books. So for my writers out there who have written their masterpiece and now you need help moving the book you just developed, contact CITI of Books. They're one of the best in the business to do it, and this is exactly what they specialize in. So head on over to cityofbooks.com today. Gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Michael here on the line. His book is way more than just a catchy title, right? I mean, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. That title is gonna stop you in your tracks, okay? For good, bad, or the other. This is going to be something that really gets you intrigued. Well, people, I'm telling you, once you open the book and you read the words on those pages, well, it's gonna hold that engagement. This is a spiritual, self-help, for lack of a better term, specifically for men. But women, don't worry. You can find a lot of value in this book as well. It may have been geared for men to help them really get it more in tune with their spiritual side. Amongst a number of other things, the principles found in this book, the lessons found in this book, are really going to help educate every single one of its readers, men and women alike. Michael, first and foremost, man, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm honored to be here.
Listen, the honor is all ours. Mike, tell us a little bit more about yourself, man. I'm curious, who is Michael J. Ulrich?
Well, I'm now 75 years old, been on the block a few times, and have never worked at the same job for 30 years. I have done lots of different things in my work. I've been a school teacher. I've been a life insurance salesman, and that was all great. But, having a job was not high on my priority list. It was just experiencing life and trying to be the best person I could be. And I had lots of failures, don't get me wrong. I've been married twice, and so I've had some fallings out myself and had some difficult times, but I've worked my way through it. And, I'm in a great place. I have been in a great place psychologically and spiritually for quite a while, and I'm just going with the flow and enjoying it.
Well, Michael, listen, a lot of people can get behind what you said, man. When you talk about just experiencing life, going from one thing to the next, I think that's another thing that we get too caught up in. At the end of the day, when you really get rid of all of the facade, right, all of the masks, what truly makes you happy? What makes you content? And a lot of times we chase the glitz and the glam. We chase the jewelry. We chase the money. And a lot of times, once we acquire those things, we're no better off than we were before we started. So I think it's really important what you were talking about, psychologically being at a place of content. Man, there's so much power in that word or in those words in and of itself.
Yes, absolutely. And it's very hard to describe the feeling. But it's basically, I get a tingling feeling inside me that just says, Michael, you are home. Yeah. And when I get that feeling, I know I'm in a good place.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we all have that particular thing in our lives, and whatever that may be for you people, fight for it. Strive to reach it. Strive to stay there. There's going to be things that try to derail you, and sometimes it happens, right? I mean, that's life. But always wanting to get back to that point, whatever that point may be for you. Michael, my follow-up question, I want to go into inspiration because you were talking about your background, these different jobs that you've held over the past number of years, but writing did not seem to be one of them. So I'm curious, how did we get here, man? What inspired you to write this?
Well, 5 years ago, I'm out walking my dog in a park, and I heard a voice, and it said, Michael, I want you to write a book, and here's the title of the book. And I go, okay, all right. How the hell am I supposed to do that? Because I'm not a writer. I've never really written anything. And so I let it sit a while. And this was, 5 years ago. And in that time, in late 2019, my wife dies unexpectedly. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm going, okay, now what? And I was living in Seattle, and I said, I need a change of place. So I moved from Seattle to Portland. And January of 2020, and right after I did that, the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And I'm an avid ballroom dancer, and there was no dancing. So I said to myself, I guess I better start writing this book. And so I based the book on a spiritual program that my therapist, which was his name was Lori Meisel, most spiritual man I ever met. And I introduced my pastor friend to him, and they hit it off great. And they came up with this men's spiritual program, which my book is based upon. And as you said in your comments, it does not promote a religion. It just basically it says, I cannot change the world, but I can change my mind. And when I change my mind, the world and I are changed. And that basically is what the whole book is promoting, is changing the way you view things in life from a negative to a positive.
Michael, I love that. That goes along with so much of what we preach here through People of Distinction, but also so much of what I've always believed in. And people, this is why I'm saying this book may be geared in its foundation for men, but women out there, listen in to what that notion is that he just said. Shifting your perception, that is a genderless thing, right? I mean, that is something that applies to everyone. I love what you're talking about, people. Again, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's on becomingafuckingman.com. Head on over there today. Pick up copies of his book, On Becoming an Effing Man, by Michael J. Ulrich. Michael, next question that I'd love to get into, man. This book is littered with great lessons that you have incorporated. Well, I'm curious, is there one or two that hold a particular fondness in your heart that you can share with us right now?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'll go to my table of contents, and poetry is really important in my book, so I have lots of poems in my book, most of which I've written myself. Oh, wow. But the first one that comes to mind is addiction. I, myself, am in a 12-step program, and I talk about it in the book, and it's not for drugs or alcohol, but addiction and the 12-step program play a major portion of my life. Yeah. So there's a major chapter on addiction in the book, and that's something that's important to me, and I think for most other people, even if they don't have an addiction, which I think is great, I'm sure they have a friend who has an addiction, and how do you deal with that? Yeah. And there's good ways to deal with it and bad ways to deal with it.
Absolutely.
Other things in here, I have things on father wounds. Most of us men have father wounds that can cause us lots of problems in how we see life. And so that's something I talk about quite a bit in here. And I have things on sexuality, shame and embarrassment, and one of the things I think I would like to do is I have a lesson in the book, which is based upon my therapist putting together this men's program. But what I have done is I have gone out and found a parable which talks about the lesson I want people to learn. And what I would like to do is read a lesson and a parable. If we could take a couple minutes to do that, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're all ears, man. Take it away whenever you're ready.
Chapter 40 is time. And my therapist, Lori Meisel, says, energy is now forever. There are two kinds of time, your ego's idea of time and your higher power's idea of time. Mm-hmm. The ego's idea of time is the past and future are real. Your higher power's idea of time is now. Now is all there is. Now, this instant is a close experience we have to eternity in our earthly existence. Mm. Eternity is not a long time. Eternity has nothing to do with time. Now, this moment is your higher power's time and is here and all is well. The idea of time is a ploy the ego uses to justify not joining and remembering your higher power now. The memory of your higher power is the memory of our Father. The need to join with Him now is the only thing we wish. All problems we experience are because we believe we are separate from Him. The solution to all our problems, therefore, is to join with Him. We prepare ourselves for this joining, or better stated, remembering that we were already joined with Him by offering love to our brothers and sisters. Kindness and patience do not exist with the ego's idea of time. Kindness and patience exist now, this moment, within our higher power's knowledge and the true purpose of time. Our higher power knows that time is a learning device to heal the blocks and ideas of separation that we have made up and illusions we would like ever want to be separated from Him and our brothers. When we are kind, we are patient and living in the now time of our higher power. When we are patient, we accept the now time of our higher power and know that there is what there is all to do to be kind as He is kind. Kindness and patience are one and they are now. Kindness and patience are now and can sense the oneness with our higher power and our brothers. Throughout the day, remind yourself, kindness and patience are one. Kindness and patience are now. My Father, let me be kind and be with you. Amen. Now, I have a story by Aral Sinha, and it is entitled, This is the Story of a Perfectly Highlights the Importance of Time. A corporate executive was on holiday in a small Greek seacoast village, was strolling by the docks and taking in the local color. He complimented one of the fishermen on the quality of his catch. How long does it take you to get all these fish, he asked. Not very long, he answered. An hour or two. Then why did you stay longer and catch more? Shrugging, the Greek explained that the catch was sufficient to meet his needs and those of his family. Mm-hmm. The executive asked, but what do you do with the rest of your time? I sleep late, fish a little, play a little with my children, and take a nap with my wife. In the evening, we go to the village to see my friends, dance a little, play the bouzouki, sing songs, and live a full life. The executive said, well, I have an MBA from Harvard, and I'm sure I can help you. You should start by fishing longer every day. You'll catch extra fish, and you can sell. With your revenue, you can buy a larger, bigger boat. And the extra money and larger boat will bring you can buy a second boat and a third one, and so on until you have an entire fleet of trawlers. Instead of selling your fish to a middleman, you can negotiate directly with the processing plant and maybe even open your own plant. You can ship fish to markets all over the world. In time, you'll get then to move to New York City and direct your huge enterprise. How long would that take? Asked the Greek. 20, perhaps 25 years, replied the executive. And after that, Well, your business will really get big and you can sell stock and make millions, exclaimed the executive with zeal. Millions, really. And after that, you could able to retire, live in a small village near the coast, sleep late, play with your grandchildren, catch a few fish, take a nap with your wife, spend time evenings singing, dancing, and playing the bouzouki with your friends. Have a full life. So I wanted to show that as the parable to my illusion of time that most people have.
I love that, Michael. Thank you very much for sharing, because I think, listen, it's so philosophical, but at the same time, I think it's something that often we miss. How often are we just stuck on that hamster wheel of life, running from one thing to the next, and again, chasing a perceived vision of happiness? In that parable that he just expressed, this gentleman already had his ideal vision of happiness. So he was then going to go.
He sure did, yeah.
He was going to go through all of this work in business to acquire millions, then just to get back to that same place that he was already in. People,
absolutely.
There's so much about life in the way we currently live it that is backwards. That is not the way we're supposed to be living. I'm telling you, people, this is something that needs to be on your shelf. Michael, I can sit here, I can talk to you all day. Man, I love your book and what it symbolizes. I'm gonna start to close it out here, because I do think that the importance of this is to really make sure that people are following through and purchasing everything for themselves so that they can embark upon that journey. You mentioned a moment ago that you have a lot of poetry engulfed in the book. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, Michael, and of course up to you, if you have a poem readily available that you could share for us. We would love to hear it.
Yes, I do. And it's at the beginning of the book where it says, "A time for some poetry." And it's a quote by Bob Dylan, "I consider myself a poet first and a musician second. I live like a poet and I will die like a poet." That's Bob Dylan. My poem is Invictus, which is no longer need a copyright because it's been around forever.
Yeah.
Here's the poem. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced or cried aloud. Under the burgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight we gate, how charged with punishments we scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. William Ernest Henley.
There you have it.
So that's right at the beginning of my thing. One of the things I would like to do in wrapping up our discussion here is talk about what's on the back page of my book.
Yes, please.
And just read it out for everyone. On Becoming an Effing Man is a spiritual book for men who do not go to church on Sunday, but believe there is a God, but they do not give God much emphasis in their life. This book discusses problems men have and gives them a spiritual perspective to deal with it. It does not use words like God, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, but only uses higher power. There is no discussion of religious principles or beliefs. If a man has an active spiritual life, he will forgive, love his fellow man, be a sensitive man, and stand up for what is right, and be at peace with himself. That's what I wanted to say.
Listen, Michael, I'm glad you said it. People, you know where you gotta go. All right, and here's the thing, man. I could sit here, as I mentioned, I could talk to Michael for hours. The discussion that we are having, I think, is that impactful, that fruitful, but it also is something that is not nearly happening enough. Again, Michael, it's your title, so I'm going to use it, man. Listen, I'm a fucking man. Michael is a fucking man. This book is going to showcase to you all of the varying ways to be one. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's on becomingaffuckingman.com. Head on over there today and get lost in it. Michael, this has been an absolute pleasure, man, a true honor. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you, my friend. I really enjoyed this discussion. You blew me away with your understanding. I'm totally impressed by you.